Okay, for our architectural drawing, let's take a look at this. This is kind of similar to what you might see with the some field measurements, got a building shell, and you need to start from somewhere, which is the building shell, the outside of a building. So we're gonna draw that. This doesn't really match all the standards, but it gives us an idea. And there's some interesting stuff. It's got some dimensions on it for this side, for the front, for this side, and for the back. It's about 36 feet by 24 feet. There's a little 6 by 6 cutout for the deck. There's a 12 by 8 cutout for the porch. Doesn't really say it, but this overhangs about 3 inches on either side. And there's a post here. Not really sure, but this post is 6 by 6. So it sounds like the structural members are 6 inch. So this would probably be a 6 inch post. Probably be a 6 inch post. Beam above, that's what that says. There's some sort of a beam on top of this post. The post, this I think means that, it's centered 8 foot from the outside edge of this wall. This door is centered 3 foot 6 inches from the outside edge of this wall. See over here, this says 2 by 6 at 16 inch on center. So that's telling you that the framing is made out of 2 by 6s, and those uprights, the studs, are every 16 inch. OC is on center. And there's some sort of a little window here that's centered 4 foot away from this outside wall. So that's kind of what we know, and we're going to try to draw that. The reason we want this 2 by 6 is that tells us that the wall framing, the inside edge of the structure, the core, is 5.5 inches. A 2 by 6 is 5.5 inches. A 6 by 6 post is 5.5 by 5.5. And you'll learn more about those dimensions when you take Design 300. So that's kind of what we need to know. 5.5 inches. If I draw this all the way around and offset it 5.5 inches, I'll have my shape. And if I draw this little post and it looks like it lines up so the edge of the post is even with this inside core. So if I put it there and then moved it 8 feet, so the center was 8 feet from here, that would be good. So that's what we want to draw. Now it doesn't say it, but these overlap about 3 inches. That's really typical. So it's 3 inches down, 3 inches out, 3 inches over, 3 inches up, so on and so forth. And this post probably lines up with the outside of the walls. So that's what we can guess from this drawing. And the idea would be that you would draw it up and give it back to your architect, and they would tell you what you got right and got wrong, and you would start then making the changes and then doing the interior architecture, the interior walls, the space planning, the doors, the windows, all that kind of stuff, which we're going to follow up with in the next section, but we're going to do that in Revit. So you're going to have this floor plan drawn in AutoCAD, and then we're going to use that as a basis for Revit. Okay, so there we go. Let's go ahead now and try to start drawing this thing. So I've got my library resource file open. I'm all set up. I'm going to go ahead and start a new drawing. Turn off my grid, always start by checking your units, and I want to be an architect. Inches will be fine. 1/16 of an inch will be fine. I'll give a little more precision there, and I will save this file. Plate 4.3, and my initials are on it. Yours will have your initials on it. Okay, so architects, this is almost all going to be on the thick layer, but let's put in thick and thin. I can kind of get ahead of the game. I think there's going to be a window, so I'll put in windows. I think there's going to be a door, so I'll put in doors. And I'll get a little bit farther ahead too. I think there's going to be dim text. I think there's going to be a hidden line. There's going to be no print. And there's going to be... Did I put dim text in there? That's probably pretty close to what's going to be needed. If I need something else, I'll go get it. I'm going to go ahead now and put my dim styles in too. It's going to be an architectural dim style. And I'll put my text styles in architectural. And I think I'm going to use the landscape leader style when I have leaders to write. Okay, so I think I've done a lot of extra up front. I've got a lot of stuff set up. Let's go to the thick layer. And I'm looking at this drawing on another monitor right now. But I'm going to draw something that's 36 feet long. Just to get my field of view about right. There we go. And I'm going to do a little trick. I'm going to make a polyline, because then the whole offset will happen at once. Polyline. It makes all the lines into one unit. Polyline. 36 feet. Up 12 feet. And I'm using the foot symbol there. Over 8 feet. Up 12 feet. I'm reading it off the drawing, which I have in front of me on another monitor. 22 feet. 6 feet. 6 feet. And I have my tracking set for 90 degrees. And hit escape. So that's all one unit now. So now to get my inside face of the wall, 5.5 inches away, I can offset 5.5, enter, select the object, move inwards, click. Wow, I better save this. I got a lot done really quick. Okay, so now there's a few things I can do, but I know that I have to locate that little where my outer post is going to be. So for right now, I'm just going to draw some lines that are going to represent the porch, even though it has to move over. And I'll draw my outside porch. So 5.5 by 5.5 rectangle. And move that so that it lines up just right. And then I can take a copy so that this one lines up. Those are really some important reference positions. Now my next one is going to line up so the edge is along there and the middle is right there. So I'm going to copy that so that the middle is on that outside. Move it down so the edge is on there, and then I have to move it over 8 feet. Let me reposition it. Reposition it so I can see that better. 8 feet. And then this is probably supposed to be a hidden line. And look, it's going to come out okay later on. I'll show you why it comes out okay later on, but it doesn't look like a hidden line right now because my view is so big. But it's going to come out okay because of some settings in AutoCAD. So now I need a door. I think there's an external door block. So I went to my resource library blocks. I'm holding it down and I'm turning it. And it's got to rotate 180 degrees. And the middle of that thing lines up with the outside of the wall, and then I move it over 3 foot dash 6 inches. So that's where it's supposed to be. The drawing shows a little line right here and a little line right here, and this taken away. I'm not really that great of an architect, but I know that for what we're going to do, this is fine. And then there's a window that I think is 3 foot wide. Right there. So I can put that window in, I think. And then it ends up being 4 foot over. So now I can move that window into place. And what I notice is this is made for like 2x4s or something like that. So I need to make it a little bit bigger. First of all, let's put that on the window layer. And let's put the door on the door layer so that we can turn things on and off later on very quickly. Let me go ahead and I'll put that line in after all. And I'll show you a use for the layers. If I make my door layer off, now I can do a really quick trim. And turn my door layer back on. So that's often done. I'm just going to clean it up just a little bit. There we go. So now to make this thing hit right, I'm going to have you do a few things. One, it's a block, so I can't really do anything to it until I explode it. And this is, I'm really doing this so you get a new little skill. And then we'll use that stretch command again to bring that down to there. And it's okay if it doesn't show up in the middle. Nothing about it's just a symbol. All right, so I have my drawing done. So that was oh no, I don't quite have my drawing done. These need to come out 3 inches. And I'm going to do another new command. It's called lengthen. Lengthen DE delta 3 inches. And then I can lengthen that 3 inches and lengthen that 3 inches. And now I can finish that little part of the drawing up. Isn't that a cool little command? Lengthen. And up here, I think I'll just use the fillet command. Lots of ways to do that. But I need to do that over here too. Move 3. Just hit enter to repeat the command. Enter 3. Lengthen DE delta, a given amount, 3 inches. Select. Select. If I wanted to, I could actually just do these up here, and that does the same thing as the fillet. Lots and lots of ways, so long as you are careful and get a pretty good drawing. This is just a guide for our next work, which will be in Revit. Okay, so I better save my work, and I see that I've got pretty much all of the object of the drawing done. So it's time for my layouts. Architectural B. Let's go look at it. And remember, I need a viewport. On the no print layer, click layout, rectangular. And I'm gonna rescale that. I think I want 1/4 inch equals a foot. That's a pretty nice scale. 1/4 inch equals a foot. And go back to my paper. Time to save that. That looks really good. Now let's take a look and see how these dimensions get put on here. There's a specific order. Okay, so windows and doors are the innermost line of the dimensions. Then come the exterior walls. Then comes the overall. And notice this is different than mechanical. Architects put a dimension on just about every single one of these. And they have the same dimension down here as they see up here. Okay, that is how architects do it. Mechanical people don't do it that way, but this is an architectural drawing. This should actually have a 12 on it also. So it should kind of look like this. Here's this part, and there's the overall. Here's this part, and this part, the overall. This part, the overall. And then these are just locating off of an external wall to the midpoint. Also, when we do a real dimensioning job, you read everything from the right side to the left side, or from the bottom to the top. So this drawing should really be rotated and it would look right. Okay, but we're going to have to work on that ourselves. But let's get going on it. Dim text. Style is going to be architectural. And this is going to be landscape. So that should be okay. And let's just start putting them in here. I should have a linear dimension from the midpoint to the wall. It does say 4 feet. That's good. And from the outside of the wall to the outside of the wall, 36. That's good. From the wall to the wall, 12 feet. from the wall to the, and some people would do the wall, but since the post lines up, we're going to do the post. And then there's the overall. And on the other side, it's very similar from the post to the external wall. And then from the external wall down to the back wall. And notice how I'm getting these to really line up nicely. That every industry does. Now, this one is going to be from the post to the midpoint. 3 foot 6 inches. That looks good. Doesn't look exactly like the sketch, but this is good. And then from the post to the external wall, a little bit farther away. Let me get from the external wall here to the midpoint of the post. And then I can do my external wall and my external wall. So there is a definite sequence. You do want it to look somewhat industry standard, even though it's based on a sketch. And I think I need one more, which is my overall. And that should actually be from the post to the post. There we go. It all fits nicely. Now I've got a few little things to do here. I'm going to put in a multi-leader on the post that says it is a 6 by 6, all caps, post. And I'll put a multi-leader. Remember, shift right click pulls all these up, and I'll use that nearest. Beam above. And 2 by 6 post on 2 by 6 at, that's right above the 2, 16-inch OC. And they've got a dimension on this window. Let's see. Hard to see what it is. 2 foot 6 inches, 30 inches, but that looks good. I should have something here that says deck and something that says porch. So DT, MC for middle center, find a spot, height, 330 seconds, enter, and I think it needs to go 90 degrees. DECK. It did it. Look at that. And then I'll do the same thing. And instead of typing all that in, sometimes what I do is I just copy it and then double click and write porch. There we go. Save. That is your floor plan building shell, the outside walls of a building that just gets measured out in the wild.